It was the fourth quarter, 4 minutes less, tie game 54-all, one of the biggest game of my legendary, yet extremely below average JV basketball season. The opponent, the dirtiest team in our conference, the Kingman Bulldogs. They weren't like, yo, you need to shower because you smell like absolute trash dirty. But they were more like, yo, you need to stop karate chopping me in the throat when I go up to dunk and put you on my poster type dirty.
Can I just stop you right there for a second? When people do this, I don't really know what that means.
I know what you're thinking, and yes, I could dunk. This team was known for cheap shots in all the wrong places. Now let me tell you something. Ya boy was having the game of his life. Like Michael Jordan in his famous flu game. Well, just minus the flu. Like LeBron in Game 7 in the 2017 Finals against the Warriors, where he had a triple-double and a crazy come-from-behind block to save the game. Well, just minus the crazy athleticism. Okay, like this. Like Devin Booker in the Western Conference Finals, closing it out to send the NBA's beloved franchise to the finals. On all campuses right now, make some noise if you think the Suns are making it back to the finals. Up to this point in the game, I was crushing it. I had a 20-piece McNugget and was balling, y'all. On one particular play towards the end of the game, I was dribbling up the court on a fast break, and like a linebacker, one of the players from Kingman tracked me down and leveled me like a freight train. As I'm laying on the ground on my back like a turtle that can't turn over his shell, seeing stars hover over my head, I remember contemplating, what should I do next? Do I keep the peace and move on to the next play? Or do I go at this fool and start a fight? What do y'all think I did? Something you need to know. I have never been in a fight before. I know, you're shocked. Most people take one look at me and take me as a scrapper. You know what I'm saying? Taylor, how could someone as physically gifted as you never utilize your dominant strength in an old throw-down knockout brawl? I know, I'm just as surprised. As if I was one of those savage, small bite, big bark chihuahuas, I sprung up and I was ready to throw down. I chose fight. Lucky for the other guy, one of my teammates stepped in and literally held me back from charging this giant. Before I could give this dude the old 1-2 to the face, I was stopped. Even though I didn't make it to this guy to fight him, I made enough of a scene to earn a technical foul from the ref and ended up costing my team 2 points. And guess what? We ended up losing by 2 points. Because I was an idiot and I didn't choose peace. It costed us the game.
I'm sorry.
Have you been there before? Have you been in a moment that clearly called for one of two responses? Either become the peacemaker and make things right, or be the instigator and start a conflict. If you're anything like me in this moment, you tend to choose instigator. It's inevitable that I'm gonna have conflicts with others. However, sometimes I ignore peace and end up paying the consequence for it. But, come on. They deserved it, right? Even if I wanted to, there was no peace to be had in this moment, right? Taylor, peace shows weakness. Come on. Sure, maybe there's a little truth to that. But what I'm learning, the more I know Jesus, is that peace is always the better response. The past couple weeks, we've been in this series called Would You Rather, and have been looking at the things in our life that Jesus calls us to that go against what the world calls us to. Here's today's Would You Rather. Would you rather be a peacemaker or an instigator? Would you rather be someone known by keeping peace or someone that's always stirring up conflict? Matthew 5:9 says this, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." God clearly calls us to be peacemakers. But let's have an honest moment. Is that really you? Turn to somebody right now and tell them what you think you are. Are you a peacemaker or are you like me? You're an instigator. I think for a lot of us, we would like to think being a peacemaker is easy. But let's be real, it never is. It feels like no matter how hard you try, every time your parents bring up getting your chores done around the house, you can't help but start a fight and make excuses for why they didn't get done. Some here feel like you always have a target on your back and your teacher is always on you for talking in class. Sure, sometimes it's you disrupting the class, but it's not always you. Hey, teach, they started talking to me. You can't help but fight back and argue with the teacher when she calls you out. Do you all have that friend in your life that is like kinda your friend? They're always around, but you would never choose to hang out with them one-on-one. And for whatever reason, they just annoy you, and you can't seem to find the internal strength to make peace with them. Even though you may not show it, inside your head, you're always judging them, and it affects how you interact with them. Some of you, right now, are nudging the person next to you, and you're like, hey, that's you, fam. Here's what I'm getting at. If you are a human in this room, you realize that making peace isn't what comes naturally to you. You would rather fight, argue, and instigate within conflict because the world tells us that it's a sign of strength. The world tells us we should always be right. The world tells us winning an argument is more important than loving people well. Let me read this again. Matthew 5:9 says this, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." Students, did you catch that? There's a very important word attached to being a peacemaker. Blessed. God will bless you if you're a peacemaker. Now, this doesn't mean if you choose to be a peacemaker, one day you'll roll up to the pearly gates of heaven and there will be a hot tub and a Tesla waiting for you. That would be awesome. Here's what it means to be blessed. You will understand the heart of God more, and you will become more like Jesus when you choose peace. Blessed means that God shows you favor or shows you more of Him. We understand that when we choose peace, we have more access to the joy of Christ. We don't have to hold the weight that comes with being in conflict with others all the time. Let's be real, students. Even though in the moment, when it seems like instigating will give us the upper hand on someone, or even give us more power in situations, it really just ends up being exhausting. We get in this nonstop cycle where we are at odds with people all the time, and it just gets tiring. Choosing to be peacemakers allows us to love others and avoid the consequences that come with being an instigator. Again, it's inevitable that we're gonna have conflict with others. However, our goal has to be peace, not winning. Most importantly, students, don't miss this. We choose peace because it shows the love of Jesus to others. One of the biggest and most obvious products of peace is the world around you sees Jesus more clearly. Those that don't have a relationship with Jesus might experience His love for the first time through you. Imagine in a world where there is tons of division, because you chose peace, they experience the hope of Jesus through your actions. In your classroom, when you choose peace with your teacher instead of picking a fight, they see Jesus. When you decide to obey your parents, listen to them, and honor them by doing your chores, they see Jesus. When you decide to show peace to your friends, even the ones that annoy you, they see Jesus. If we truly want to be Christ-centered difference makers, peace has to be at the center of how we approach others. 1 John 4:19 says this, we love because he, Jesus, loved us first. Jesus was our example, and we follow his lead as children of God. Here's the question I want you to think about as you walk into your small groups today. If I were to ask your 3 closest friends if they see you as a peacemaker, how would they answer? Now, that might be a tough question to ask yourself, and guess what? That's okay. Don't feel guilty. We're in this together. Here's the challenge this week for you and I. Who is one person that you can show peace to, even though it might be easier to instigate a fight with them? Even though you know going into it, it's gonna be tough. Is it your mom, dad, brother, sister, teacher, teammate, friend? Whoever it is, my challenge to you is to show them the love of Jesus through being a peacemaker. Students, I get it. It's not easy. Peace doesn't come naturally to us. But my hope for you is that the more you start choosing peace, the more you see Jesus showing up in your world.